There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. Today is October 12th, 2022, and we are at the oldest home in Easton. It's located at 479 Bay Road, South Easton, and this house was built in 1717 by the Keith family. It's now called the Josiah Keith House, and a new owner is now present here, dressed in colonial regalia, looking absolutely wonderful, and even the shoes, fabulous. Okay, and his name is Justin LeWinter. Justin, it's so nice to have you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. And I know that you have so much information about this house, the history, and some of the characters who've lived here. And later in the day, we're going to have an interview in the studio with Justin and our local town historian, Ed Hands, to explain that history. But today, we're going to do a tour of the house so that those of you in Easton who have never been in the house, but may in the future have opportunities to tour this house, can enjoy and see what we have and what was present in 1717. So, shall we go in?
Let's go.
Okay. Okay, so where are we now?
We're currently in the carriage house. This was built about after the Revolutionary War. Behind us, this was a farrier's shop. And the Keith family had people come and stay with them. They ran the house as an inn. And they would have taken care of people's horses, and they would have, reshoed the horses. They would have given the horses water and feed overnight on people's ways down to Providence, usually from Boston, or the other way.
So, were the horses in here as well as the carriages?
The horses would have stayed in here, and the carriages would have been outside.
Okay, so the horses are in here. How did the horses get in?
The barn door would have opened. Originally, the barn door was in the middle. When the house was restored in 2012, they moved a little bit around.
I see. Okay. All right. So, and you have an attic up there?
Yeah, that would have been used as a hay loft, and it would have been there would have been help sleeping up there overnight if the patrons that the Keith family had were a little bit more wealthy. That was generally how things were done in the 18th century, early 19th century.
Okay. So some guests might have been sleeping up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. So it was an inn.
It was.
Okay.
The house was ran as an inn pretty much from the time it was built till before the Civil War. The Williams family, sometime after the Civil War, had restored the house to working function, and they built a lumber mill across the street where the Williams sawmill pond is. And Mr. Williams was a pretty proud man of what he did with this place. And I have pictures of him and from around 1880, 1870, and he's smiling, whereas people at the time generally didn't smile in their pictures. In fact, his wife is not smiling, and his son isn't smiling either in the picture.
Okay. So today we're going to look at the house, and you're going to tell me those are the stairs that go up to the loft?
Yes. Here was found in the house or on the property. Majority of this is farming implementation. Some of the stuff came out of the lumber mill that was here. And yeah, we've kind of named the house the tool farm, just because we're always finding things in the dirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Most of this is oxen yokes. The tool on the top would have been for moving lumber around. This one right here would have been for getting underneath the lumber and rolling it, make things a little bit easier.
And I see there's a scythe or
Yeah.
scythe.
Yeah, we use the scythe here to cut the grass.
You do?
We do. It all by hand.
Oh my goodness. Wow. No motorized stuff here.
No motorized stuff here.
Well, that gives you your exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And over here we have three saws,
Pull saws.
and those were the ones that were handheld. So at each end, I can see here is a wooden, and so there were two people, and they would go back and forth, and so this was done to cut the trees down.
Correct.
Right. No chainsaws back then.
No chainsaws back then.
Okay, and that's
These
why.
men were fit.
That's right. That's why they were so cylinder. Okay, let's go in.
This would have been the indoor outhouse / woodshed. This was only covered after the Revolutionary War. Originally, this would have been open to the environment, but to have your outhouse so close to your house, you had to be a relatively wealthy person. Most people didn't want the odors coming into the house, so they were relatively far away. But you can imagine with our Massachusetts winters, even back then, it was quite cold, and they wanted to get in and out as quickly as possible.
So let's take a look, and I noticed that there's an adult seating arrangement here, or toilet, and then there's a child's.
Yeah, our modern notions of privacy are a little bit different than they were back then.
So that door was not there?
No, the door would have been there, but two people would have used it at a time.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And then so here you have the wood.
Yeah, we chop all of our own wood and try to use the fireplaces as much as possible to heat the house. Mm-hmm. It's actually a little bit cheaper than oil these days, which is not surprising.
Right.
And yeah, we have to chop a lot of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of it just to maintain the heat in the house and for the ovens as well.
So what's amazing, I think, is how wide the old wood is.
Oh, yes.
So here's the old wood. You can see how it's at least 14 inches wide.
Yeah, the old growth timber, they were like the giant sequoias when the first generation got here, right after the Pilgrims came. Some of these trees people lived in, they were so large. They would hollow them out and put a chimney stove in it and just live there for the rest of their lives.
And what do we have here? It's a dry sink?
This is a dry sink. It would have been used to wash all the fruits and vegetables that were coming in from the little kitchen garden that they would have had, or, washing the livestock that they would have eventually butchered.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
All right. So let's go. Please take us into your house, into the dwelling.
So the fireplace is one of the most original parts of the house. It's relatively untouched. Even after the Revolutionary War, there was a restoration done by Josiah Keith III. The top portion of the house had rotted out, and they had to rebuild it, just due to the fact that we're in a little bit of a damp climate here on Bay Road. And, 300-year-old house still remains, even in that environment.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. All
Absolutely.
the bricks were probably made on site. All of the timber was cut on site as well, due to the Keith family owning a lumber mill. And in fact, most of the older houses in town their lumber was produced by the Keith mill.
Really?
Yes,
So was it the only mill in town
I believe so.
at that time?
Yeah, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
At least in 1717, when Mr. Keith was one of the first settlers in the town.
Yes. Okay. And what was his name? That was Josiah's father?
So there's 3 generations of Josiahs. Josiah, the son of James Keith of the town of Bridgewater. Then Josiah Keith Jr., who was in the French and Indian War. He was the captain of the town militia. And then Josiah Keith III, who was the captain of the town militia during the Revolutionary War.
Was he?
Yes,
So he was captain of our militia.
correct.
Okay.
Interesting man.
Really?
Oh, very interesting man.
And very
yes.
patriotic.
Very patriotic.
And it seems they were very industrious
Yes, very, very industrious.
and entrepreneurial.
Oh, yes. At one point, the Keith family owned something like 500 head of cattle.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
That's really unheard of.
Very. They were wealthy.
Yes. Okay. And so you have a little modernization here
Just a little
with the
bit.
kitchen.
It is a modern home.
Yes.
So
Right.
we have to accommodate some things. We cannot be living
No.
like
so you have
the Stone Ages.
You have a Windsor chair. You have some rush-seated Hitchcock chairs.
We've been attempting to replace everything with original 18th century furniture. If not reproductions of 18th century furniture.
I see. Very good. And you have a butter churner?
We have a butter churn. Most of the implements over here are original, purchased in the local area, Bridgewater, Taunton, wherever else I can find them.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Trying to keep them local.
And look at the floorboards. How wide they are.
Yeah, this floor was one of the only floors in the house that needed to be redone when the DeWares owned the house.
Oh my goodness. Isn't this beautiful?
This is probably the most immaculate room in the house, just due to the fact that this would have been used as Mr. Keith's office. When he had potential clients to come, to buy lumber from him, he would have met them in here. From what I've learned, traditionally in New England, people didn't really use their front doors. They would have had someone come around to the side instead. Mm-hmm. He would have had a fire going in here. He would have had almost all of his guests come in here and meet him.
So here we have another fireplace.
Another fireplace.
And of course, every room had to have one.
Yes. Almost every room in here had a fireplace.
Right.
It was expected back then that you'd be welcomed with a nice warm fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you have appointed this place in as close to...
as close to about 1790 as possible.
Yeah.
And we are going to continue moving forward each and every day. Eventually we're going to remove most of the paint from the floors that were put in probably sometime in the 50s or 60s. Mm-hmm. We'll be removing the radiators just to bring it back to a more colonial period. And yeah, it's been a project. It's taken a year so far just to get it to this state.
Now, I noticed the doorways are rather short.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They were not very tall back then.
Right.
Not that they were, much shorter, but within a generation of Josiah Keith, him being a first generation, they had grown almost 7 inches in height on average.
What was that due to?
Just due to the fact that coming from Europe and Britain, that their quality of life had gone up. The ability to produce so much more food enabled these people to literally grow to be giants.
Right, so it was nutrition.
It was nutrition.
That did it, and it's still nutrition today,
oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so here off the main room is a bedroom.
Yeah, this is actually my bedroom.
Is it?
I am the master of the house. I am the innkeeper. I am...
oh, my goodness.
Yes.
This is great.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. It's been a little bit of a labor, but we're getting there.
Uh-huh. And you have quite an old...
I have a whole scene set up with...
It's a desk. It's
yeah.
an old desk. And here we have another Windsor chair.
Another Windsor chair. So these were... Most of the Windsor chairs in the house were left to me by the DeWare family. Mm-hmm. And... I can't remember her name.
Oh, Melanie.
Melanie being the head of the Historical Society, or
Historical Commission.
She was the head of the Historical Commission. She did a wonderful job restoring this house in 2012. She really did.
Now the rifle, is that a replica or?
I do reenacting, so.
Oh, okay.
I have muskets and I have cowboy guns, so I do pretty much Revolutionary War, early 18th century to
So that's where
Civil War.
you got your revolutionary
Oh, yeah.
outfit here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And notice how everything is, I mean.
Oh, all of the wood paneling in here is
Yes.
absolutely stunning.
And on the other side here is the fireplace that we just saw.
Yes.
And here we have another fireplace. So it's a two-sided fireplace, right? Back and front. Okay. And now you have some more.
Yeah, as I said,
costume.
I do reenacting, so I have my whole collection of 18th century clothes kind of scattered all over the place, just to give people the feel that someone's actually living here in the time period.
I see. Okay. And this is a Dutch door?
Yeah, this is a beautiful Dutch door.
And what?
And it
what
was made by Scott DeWare.
Oh, it was.
It was.
Okay.
He built a lot of stuff around here, and at one point he built the table in here, but I believe the children took it when they passed away. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so yeah, let's take a picture. You stand under that doorway there. Just take a look at this. Okay. Now, you're not that tall.
I am not that tall.
You're 5'9"?
I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day.
5'10", right. And I'm 5'3". So just take a look at this. These people were much smaller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, with these low ceilings, Josiah Keith III was, some sources say 6'3", some sources say 6'7". So he was a large man walking around here. Imagine he was hitting his head quite often.
I bet he was. And this is a sitting room, a sitting room.
Yeah,
right?
this is the sitting room.
And we have another fireplace.
Yes, we have another fireplace in here, and all the fireplaces actually work in the house. And around Christmas, we will have the house open to the public, and hopefully continue the tradition that Melanie and Scott were doing by opening it to the public and having people come. Eventually this house will be used as a bed and breakfast and a little house museum, and we've set up a nonprofit, so hopefully I can help other people do something similar. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a good thing. We just got our tax ID number, so we are officially a nonprofit now.
Great.
Which is wonderful.
Wonderful, yeah. And the color, the blue, that's a very colonial blue. In fact, they call it colonial blue.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really nice.
Unfortunately, most of the paints at the time were toxic.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of them, people with the greens and the blues, they got, the saying, mad as a hatter, right? Most things back then were this terrible for you.
Yes, but the blue here is new paint, right?
Oh, yeah. So most of the paint in the house has been tested for lead. Obviously, we don't want to be having people in here with 18th century paint on the floors and on the walls.
Now, who's this? There's a painting over here.
That's
Do you know who that is?
Man, it's on the back. I can check. I don't remember.
Oh, you don't have to tell us, but it's not Josiah. Is it?
No. I've not been able to find any portraits of them.
Okay.
I continue searching, and I'm in contact with the Mass Archives.
Oh, okay.
Which they've been quite wonderful.
Uh-huh.
I've gone and held the original muster rolls for the Revolutionary War with Mr. Keith's name on them.
Very interesting.
Oh, yes.
And I noticed that the stenciling around on the wall, on the bottom and top.
Yeah. Melanie did that. She did a quite wonderful job, and it certainly...
So there's no paper, it's plaster.
No paper, it's all plaster.
Right. And so the stenciling was a way to decorate.
Yes.
In lieu of wallpaper.
Yes.
Yeah. And this old trunk.
Yeah. I found that at the Goodwill, surprisingly enough.
Oh my goodness.
It was produced in Philadelphia, but the sword on top is a reproduction of an Ames sword from the Civil War.
I see. And this trunk, where does it, what's the date?
Sometime 1870.
Okay, yeah. So it's not that old.
No, it's not that old.
And can you tell us why the wing chair was so popular?
It was a comfortable chair. It was a very comfortable chair. I think they were designed by the... Oh, man.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, the wing chair, it has two wings. This is one wing here, and here's the other wing. And when you sat, the heat would stay in and keep you warm. That was the idea. All right.
Oh, I can imagine be staying.
So if you
very
didn't have
warm.
these wings, the heat would just dissipate into the room.
Yes.
But that was the origin of that.
Oh.
I have 2 wing chairs in my home,
They're quite comfortable
and they are very comfortable.
wonderful in front of a fire, as you just said. So
And-
this room we are currently working on, but we plan on turning this into a music room.
Oh yeah.
The room we were just in will be the parlor, and
Look at this is an old Victrola.
yeah, we have a wonderful old Victrola that was left for us from the Dwares, and
I have the same one.
oh, do you really?
I do.
It gives off wonderful sound.
Yeah.
It really does. You know, we
Yeah.
got Bing Crosby on there right now.
Oh wow. 38s.
Yeah, 38.
And where'd you get the old?
So there's another
organ.
item that was left for us. These were made in Massachusetts, actually, these Miller organs. And we have some of the documentation for the organ, and boy, were they expensive, even at the time.
And so that indicates how wealthy the family
Yeah,
was.
this was a very wealthy family
Yeah.
that lived here. At the time when this was made, the Williams family would have been living here, so they were making a lot of money with their sawmill. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And here we have this other wonderful fireplace.
And most of these fireplaces have the built-in cabinetry into them as well, which is quite wonderful, quite handy.
And so I'm sure that the bottom one was just stocked with wood, right?
Yeah, the bottom one probably would have been stocked with wood, although this one, being that this was a room for a newly married couple, which is what is listed on the, not the will, but the, oh man, what's the thing called? Some of the history of the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would have held all of their personal belongings because there's not a lot of other built-in furniture here.
I see.
Yeah. We've had to carpet the staircase because I don't want anyone falling down.
No.
The stairs were the #1 killer in homes prior to 1920.
Really?
Yes. More people fell down the stairs and cracked their head open than anything else. It's like car accidents today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, there's quite a bit of room up here.
oh yeah, this is why we're turning the house into an inn.
So I can see where it was an inn
Yes.
back in the last century.
Yes, these 2 rooms are the original remaining rooms from up here. This room in particular has some of the wallpaper, which is why I was telling you before that a lot of the paints that they used were toxic. Toxic enough that they would, even with wallpaper on here, it would burn into the wood itself. Yeah.
Okay.
But we're still left today with the pattern, so we knew exactly what they had on here.
Okay.
It's got a little white pine motif on it, which is
Yeah.
quite nice,
And
considering the surrounding area.
and the brass bed,
The brass bed is from,
1920s.
no, this is from the 80? 80s, yeah, 1870s. I got this down in Taunton, which was
Very nice.
very, very, very nice.
And of course they
They were a little bit smaller back then as well.
yes, but also they only had candles.
Yes, they only had candles. There was no electricity up until the late 1800s, and you were rather wealthy if you had electricity.
Yeah.
I know there's some people that didn't even have flooring in their houses until sometime in the late 1900s,
My goodness.
or mid 1900s rather.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we can go to the next room.
And look at these wonderful doors.
Each one of these doors was hand built. We're pretty sure that most of the iron for the doors was made on property. Whatever had to be replaced was replaced by a man named Dean Rance. He's a blacksmith. He does a lot of the stuff down at the Old Colony Museum. which is quite nice. He did a wonderful job reproducing a lot of the stuff that was missing in here. So both of these rooms are going to be repainted, just because I don't think this purple was a particular used in colonial times. But the floors in the upstairs are some of the best floors in the house, surprisingly. And I think it would have been that way because they were trying to show off to their guests. They wanted to be ostentatious, right? We all want to show off sometimes.
Yes. Well, the boards are incredible.
Oh, they're absolutely beautiful.
They're beautiful, and they're wide.
Yes, they're very, very wide. When we get into the suite that we set up.
Okay, so here we have
this is
a modern toilet and shower.
Yeah, we had to have a bathroom built. So this is a 6-bedroom house, but it only had 1.5 bathrooms. So we needed to have something built, and I was able to have the master carpenter from Ohika Castle on Long Island, who he came up and stayed with me and built me a bathroom in a week, and he did a very wonderful job.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, and then here we have a door that made of these 2 woods. This was hand done, obviously.
Yeah, these would have been leftover panels at one point.
I see.
At which they turned into doors.
And what's behind that?
So
you don't have to open
this
it.
goes into the skeleton of the house. Right now it's just being used for storage, but
Oh, okay.
you can see some 300-year-old
Yes.
pieces of wood and
Oh my
all of the
gosh.
nails.
Yeah.
Almost like a Iron Maiden in there.
Wow.
But yeah, this is
Is that interesting?
yes. Oh, it's every day we find something new in here. It's amazing.
So
this would have been
so Josiah really had to duck with this one.
yeah. Oh yeah. So this room actually wouldn't have been here. We're almost certain that this was all open, and the 2 rooms.
Oh my God,
We're the
this
only-
is incredible.
Yeah, we're the only bedrooms, but we turned this into a bedroom, or this was turned into a bedroom by Scott DeWare, and he did a wonderful job. We're almost certain, though, that this is where the Keiths owned a slave, and she probably would have slept in here, just due to this would have been a warm space for her to stay. The Keith family also had a lot of children. They went, from the first Josiah Keith, I think he had 7 or 8 children, to Josiah Keith Jr. had, I think, 13. And then Josiah Keith III had just as many. So there was a lot of people running around here. Not a lot of personal space.
So I bet the loft was used.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, this is amazing.
Thank
you. So are these built-ins? They're relatively new.
Yeah, this is relatively new. Scott built everything that was in here, which he did a wonderful job. He was a shipwright, and he built little Chris Craft replicas.
But this looks old.
No, he built that as well. Surprisingly, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the oldest stuff in here is probably the bed, which is 1790, and then the flat desk, which is 1780s, late 1770s.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then over here, you can just see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is original.
He did a wonderful job restoring this. And
And
anyway, this room has the best floors, though. The width of
oh my goodness! Look how wide this one is.
It's almost 20 inches wide.
And yeah, amazing.
So when I said that some of these people were living in trees, I meant it. They were huge trees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
And here's the fireplace.
Yeah, the flying buttresses of the fireplace.
Well, this was really a labor of love, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. It's taken us almost a year to get to where we are today, and we still have a little while to go. We're building a farm outside. Yeah.
Great. So when are you going to start this in?
So, as I said, we just recently got our nonprofit status, which helps move things along quite quickly. But I think within the next month or so, we'll start taking guests in overnight, and yeah, from there, it'll be, when my guests show up, I'll be wearing my 18th century clothes, and I hope to give them an experience like they're going back in time 300 years. And, we'll have a variety of things for people to do. Hopefully we'll be doing candle making and hopefully doing all sorts of other things.
Well, maybe you can give them the scythe.
Oh, yeah.
And they can cut your
We'll
grass.
get them out into the fields. And you'll lose 65 pounds real quick.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for showing us
Of
this
course.
wonderful house.
Of course, please come again.
We will, and I will see you later in the
Absolutely.
studio. We'll talk more about the history
Absolutely.
of the house, of the families, and the background of the times,
Of
too,
course.
that these
This was a
people
wild
lived
place. This was a wild, wild town. Let me tell you.
in. Oh, good.
You'll
That's
hear.
going to be fun. It's going to be really fun to
Oh, yeah.
hear. Okay. Thanks again, Justin
Thank you so
LeWinter.
much. I appreciate it.
And this is Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, wishing you all well and hoping that you get the experience of this wonderful place back in time, 300 years, and keep your eyes open for the open house coming up in the Christmas season. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, be well.